Back here in the back.
Yeah. What's the name of the legislation, and can we help you with that lobbying?
Sure.
Great.
It's the Biomass Production Act of 2009. In the Senate, it's being sponsored by Ben Nelson from Nebraska. He's got a whole bunch of other folks that are co-sponsors. In the House, it's being sponsored by Mr. Higgins from New York, and he's got a bunch of co-sponsors. I don't have, it's 306, Senate Bill 306. I can't remember what the House bill is, but that's not.
If you're on my email,
it's been in our newsletter. So.
Great. Great. I've got it in the newsletter now.
Yeah, beat on those guys.
Yeah.
All right, back in the back.
For Todd and Richard.
Loudly, please. It's
For
hard.
Todd and Richard, what's it going to take to get Roush to start doing natural gas? The same amount of commitment from the natural gas side as the propane side, or is Jack not interested in doing natural gas?
Yeah, I asked him that before we started. Yeah.
He was asking that when we started.
Oh, no.
Great question. I mean, I think the mission of our company is to produce products that are going to help the environment, and I think at some point in the future, could natural gas be a part of our future? Sure. Can I answer that without question? No. At this point, we've kind of put our cart behind the horse of propane, and we're going to spread the word on propane and the benefits of propane. Again, it has its place amongst all the other alt fuels we've talked about here today. So never say never, but for now, we're behind propane.
Right here.
Would it be a transition to go from a propane, a 3-carbon propane source to a 1-carbon source?
From an engineering perspective, it would not be that difficult for us to transition to start producing natural gas product. Again, at this point, our resources are somewhat limited. It costs money. Every engine we develop costs about $1.5 million, every platform. So we've got 5.4 liter engine 3-valve. We've got 4.6 liter 2-valve. We're working on the 6.8 liter 3-valve, 6.8 liter 2-valve, amongst some other products. So again, you start adding that up, that just costs a lot of money. So again, we wanted to start small, create awareness of the fact that we're a great product, we stand behind it with warranty, and propane's a great fuel source.
Just every company that makes conversion systems, natural gas conversion systems in the United States, also makes propane conversion system, because it's really, really simple to go from one to the other.
I think back here in the back we had a question. Yes, sir.
Which is a more efficient fuel, ethanol or methane? You got methane sources at every sewage plant in the country.
Why don't you go first and I'll tell the truth?
I'm not sure what because they're typically until recently used for the same things. I would guess it depends on what the cost of the methane engines, what needs to be done to them. But I would assume one of the biggest advantages to using ethanol is that it uses existing fueling infrastructure. It has less to do with engines or the efficiency of anything else than it does. That it's a liquid fuel that's very similar to gasoline, runs through standard gasoline pumps. It can be stored in the same kind of tanks. And so that's been the beauty of it to this point. As far as the efficiency goes, people want to compare biodiesel. That replaces diesel. The efficiency of diesel and ethanol are completely different. It's a completely different kind of fuel. So assuming that you could, if you take the pumps and the way the stuff is fueled out of the equation, the answer is probably going to be the methane. But if we're going with existing fueling infrastructure, one can be more easily implemented, and has been more easily implemented than the other.
Did you have something like that?
No, that's
okay.
Good.
Yes.
I was just curious about natural gas. Is there any restriction to the environment related to natural gas?
Well, again, pick your pollutant. The California Energy Commission numbers included all the gas that gets, because methane is more intensive greenhouse gas. So you want to reduce the amount that you lose. But you do lose something when you produce it, when you transport it. You're using engines that pump, that use natural gas. But that California number took all that into account when it came up and said 22% less than diesel, 29% less than gasoline. In terms of underwater or underground stuff, there's a concern right now with gas shale what you have to do is you have to go down and fracture the rock. Gas shale is gas trapped in very hard rock. And up until less than 10 years ago, we didn't know how to mine it. But now we do. And you go down and you fracture it. And there's some concern about, well, it's a groundwater pollution. But that is so far below the aquifers that right now, all the stuff all the reports I've seen said it's not an issue in terms of groundwater pollution. And that's the biggest concern with that.
And I want to make the correlation with you guys that it's not really effective for our environment to produce gasoline and coal petroleum and all that. I mean, there's also issues with the environmental effects of that. So, I mean, we always have to remember that there's a reason why we're doing this, and it's to displace petroleum, and so there's issues with petroleum as well. It's efficient, but it's not the great wonder of the world either. So.
And the other thing, and this is true with every one of our fuels, because there's a lot of discussion, oh, well, we can go to that. The better is the enemy of the good. If you always say, well, that's something that's better just over the horizon, let's wait for that, you won't do anything. So let's go with something that's good now, better than what we've got, gasoline, diesel, and then maybe over the horizon, it'll get better. And that's a strategy. That should be plan A. As opposed to plan A being, well, let's identify something that may be over the horizon and just assume that's going to happen, which it may not.
Which I hear all the time. I hear people tell me, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to wait for hydrogen. Well, not only are you going to be waiting quite a while, but so you're going to do nothing right now at all, and it's an issue. Are there other questions in here for these guys? Yes, over here. Let's do him first, and then you.
I have a question more related to the future rather than the here and now, which these gentlemen have addressed pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I've had the privilege of working on solar car races since 1990.
All right.
And my wife and I have been lucky enough to be able to actually start a little business surrounding and servicing making custom solar modules for research efforts.
Okay.
Most of which admittedly have been for solar car races. NREL in the past has been an incredible supporter of that through the DOE, or the DOE through NREL. But we've sort of lost, I think, the vision with respect to solar car racing in the U.S. For a number of reasons, none of which we probably should get into. But because things have changed very recently, and because there's been a race going on in Australia roughly every 2 years, quite successfully, I'm a little concerned about whether or not we're taking a long-term view on what we can do with respect to solar, real alternatives, as in renewable alternatives, I should say. And I'm kind of hoping that maybe we're at a point now where NREL and the DOE can get behind it again in the U.S.
Yeah, what did I pick up for you? Something you probably already got.